What I've been researching for the past couple of weeks is how community intrinsically helps the individual grow and flourish. And through a handful of sources, from investing in your future and why a bachelor's degree is worth it, the role of community in personal growth, how mentorship has created a special community and helped people develop their careers, and the value of a college education, and how to social support enhance the resilience in the trauma-exposed individual. We will see through these sources and personal experiences and our special guest that through this podcast, we do in fact need community, and it is a fundamental part of being a human. So, what even is community, and what even is social support? Social support refers to a social network's provision of psychological and material resources intended to benefit individuals' capacity to cope with stress. From Lauren Sniple. Lauren Sniple is a person who studied PTSD and trauma within veterans and other individuals alike that don't necessarily have to be veterans, and ultimately came to the conclusion that when you have a social support system, that it benefits you because it helps you cope with the stress that life has given you. When dealing with trauma, we tend to have good coping mechanisms and bad coping mechanisms. And Lauren points out that often when people don't have a sense of community, they tend to turn to alcohol or drug abuse in a form or fashion and tend to isolate themselves. However, when someone has a good community, they are more willing to have good coping mechanisms and overall will improve over time with the trauma that they have. Now I'd like to introduce our lovely special guest, Gabriel Bates. Yay! Everyone say hi, Gabriel. I'm going to pretend everyone said hello. So I have a few questions about community. Hi.
Hello.
So if you can define what community is and social support is in your own words, what would that look like?
Well, I would say community and social support kind of work hand in hand with each other, just because oftentimes, or at least most of the time with me, when I think of community, I think of a group of people coming together to support each other and overall just make life easier. So, yeah.
That's really good. Thank you. And then how has community shaped your life growing up and your support with friends and family?
Honestly, community played a vital role with my adolescence and just growing up in general, becoming the person that I am today. I'd say I would be a completely different person without a community. Growing up, there were times where I felt like I had not a real strong sense of community with the place that I was in, and I noticed that with all social aspects of my life, it was greatly affected. I'd say it was harder for me to work or focus on schoolwork just because I was just focused on other things. Without a sense of community, I felt lost, many times without a purpose. It was honestly, it's kind of hard to go through life without that sense of community. A lot of times you could have everything else going well for you in life, a good job, good career, making lots of money, healthy, but if you don't feel like you're part of a community, you'll still feel lost. In my opinion, you'll still feel like there's a piece of your life that, is not really filled. I'm sure your essay goes into that. But...
No, yeah. Part of my essay is talking about my personal life experiences and how, joining Delta Phi Epsilon and coming to Truman really helped grow my village and my support system around me. And I majorly focused on how colleges, and then when you attend college, provides you with a community, because even though we're all different in our own ways and we're surrounded by diversity of thought, we are all still college students, and we create a community of our own of struggling through college, though we may not all get along. And so when you came to Truman, and during our first, I guess it is our first year is almost over, but how did that community change you, and how did it change from your hometown to coming to Truman, and how did Truman change you for the better?
Well, going into Sherman, I kind of knew that I needed to find my community here. My older sister, she went here as well, and she basically gave me a rundown saying, hey, if you don't join any organizations or anything while you're in college, it's kind of hard to find a community. She said you'd just be sitting in your dorm all day, all night, lost, a little bit hopeless. So I went on to join my fraternity, and they did a lot for me. I think if I went through this process without a strong sense of community and a strong group of guys around me, it would have been a lot harder. You know, they helped me a lot with just feeling at home, even with things like pushing me to study, motivating me to do the things I need to do. I'd say it would be a lot harder without them. I'd say my community now is a lot more, I guess you could say adult-like. I mean, it makes sense. We're growing.
We're growing up. We're adults now, so.
But I'd say back in high school, my community was just more focused on having fun. I don't know, those days in school, all you're worried about is, or at least all I was worried about, was just get enough grades to get into college and getting the scholarships I needed. And then besides that, it was just, how am I gonna have fun?
Yeah.
Now it's just kind of, this community is it's a lot more, I feel like it's a lot more structured. Everyone's focused on their goals of what the next step they're gonna take is, whether that be law school, dental, getting a master's or whatever. I think we're all just focused on, you know, reaching our goals and helping each other reach our goals in the easiest way possible. Well, I mean, also having a little bit of fun. But,
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well, that's all the consensus of my research. And everything that we sort of talked about is what I hit on in my essay. Ultimately, I wanted to research what community means because community matters. And without it, you literally die. Reese Spritz in 1940 did the baby death experiment. And even though all these babies had their physical needs met, the fact that they weren't nurtured is the reason why they died. It is a human necessity that we need community to build each other up and ultimately be better people. Without the organizations that I've joined, like student government, forensic speech and debate, Delta Phi Epsilon, junior advisory boards, and along with the many slew of things I'm involved in on campus, I wouldn't be who I am today. And ultimately, coming to Truman has been the biggest blessing because I have grown so much. And I see it within myself, and even with my roommates, we have changed literally overnight within a year. And that is through college, that is through surrounding yourself with people that care about you and want you to succeed. Like what Gabriel was saying, community has changed to be more adult-like. And because of that, we all push each other to our goals. And that's ultimately what we all want to see out of each other. When I think of my friends, all I want for them is to succeed, and they feel the same way about me. And with that, it gives me the confidence to conquer each and every one of my days. So, to conclude, we talked about what community means and how ultimately that benefits us, and even the definition. And then we brought our special guest, Gabriel Bates, to talk about his perspective of what community is. And as we end this little podcast off, I wanted to say thank you to this class because it's been so fun. And I'm really glad I took it. Even though it's a required class, English 190, and I painfully did not pass the AP Lang exam, but it did boost my GPA. But I'm not good at test taking, so I did have to fulfill this requirement. But ultimately, I made more friends. I am building my little community of English 190 people, and we love to complain about it, and we love to rave about it, like any other class. It's important to always put yourself out there, even if you're introverted or even if you're shy, because having someone to look at in a classroom and say, oh my God, with your eyes is something that I really love and that everyone should have as well. But yeah, thank you for listening. I will make sure this is so polished and so pretty for you to hear.